and welcome to Salesforce's Release Readiness Live for Winter 16. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Torres, and it's my pleasure to be here as we embark on our final live session for Winter 16. Today, we're going to be focusing on the Service Cloud. Now, if you couldn't join us for any of our previous sessions, worry not. All of those sessions can be found recorded live on www.salesforce.com/release-readiness. But today, we're going to be taking a deeper dive into our latest and greatest for the Service Cloud as relates to Winter 16. To aid us in that, since we are live here in studio, we have 4 members of our product management team sitting with us, and we're going to meet them in just a second. But before we meet the people that you're going to be asking questions of, let's find out how we ask them. To explain that and more, we've got Salesforce's own Elna Miller. Hey, Elna.
Hey. Thank you, Mike. I'm Elna Miller. I'm one of your community managers in the Success community. Please ask all your questions in Twitter or in the Success community in the Release Readiness group at success.salesforce.com. Make sure you use the hashtag Salesforce Live, and you can also post on the social stream, which is on the page right in front of you. We do have a no question left behind policy, so please do post those questions and shout outs, and we'll get to as many questions as we can to answer them live or within the next few days. So Mike, I think we're ready to go. Final session.
Thanks, Elna. Now, before we get into our final session, there are just a few very quick points of logistics that we need to cover. First, as we mentioned, this is our final live session, and you can find all those recordings at www.salesforce.com/release-readiness, both in long form and short form clips for you there. Now, in addition to that, we're going to be looking at some very new items today and some forward-looking items on our product roadmap. So before we do that, we need to review Salesforce's Safe Harbor slide. If you are unfamiliar with this slide, all it asks of us is that since we're going to be looking at our product roadmap, we need to base any Salesforce purchasing decisions based only on current functionality, which makes sense. But without any further ado, I'm going to get everybody over to Gotham so we can get introduced and into the Service Cloud.
Thank you, Mike. Hi, folks. My name is Gautam Vasudev, and I'm the product manager for Salesforce CTI, which is Computer Telephony Integration, and the Salesforce Console. Today, I'm going to be talking about all the goodness that's come out with Winter 16 for the console and the case feed.
Thanks, Gotham. Hi, I'm Kendra Fiume. I'm the product manager for Live Agent Web Chat and also Omnichannel. And unfortunately, I didn't get the memo that we were wearing our hoodies today, so maybe next time.
Hi, I'm Deborah Strusenberg. I'm the product manager for Knowledge, and I'll be covering what's coming in both winter and spring 16.
Hi, my name is Michael Chow, and I work on products here related to self-service communities and also mobile customer service. Today I'll be talking about products that are coming out in Winter 16 for chatter questions and also the community templates.
Great.
All right, so let's cut to slides here. I'm going to introduce you to the console and case feed sections of this webinar. And I'm sure a lot of you might have been privy to some of this during Dreamforce. We had a fantastic Dreamforce and a fantastic release, and the feedback has been very positive. So today I'm going to show you some of the highlights from our Winter 16 release around the console and feed. The first item that I'm going to walk you through is the new look for the Salesforce console. And this is something we've put a lot of effort into. And I feel we've got to that industry-leading UI space, which we've always had as part of our charter. I'm also going to speak about some branding enhancements and a brand new look and feel, a modernized look and feel for our pin list view. And if you're familiar with our previous pin list view, I'm sure you agree that this was sorely needed. I'm also going to walk through a very exciting capability with case feed, which a number of customers have been asking us for, which is inline filters in feeds, from which you can directly narrow the feed items down to 1 or 2 items. In addition, I'm going to show you a new lookup component, which allows you to create and search for related objects in line from a sidebar component. And then I'm also going to show you a new drag and drop ability with files. So let's cut to the demo and get through this next 15 minutes with a lot of excitement. I wanted to first show you our new console look and feel. Now, as you can see here, there's a lot that's changed around the console. And none of it is with the functionality, but I'm hoping you can all see how the console now has a very consistent font and icon and style guide across all the console componentry. This was feedback that we received from a number of customers in the past. And the first thing that we wanted to do, as I said, was get that consistency of styling. Now, we also wanted this to be forward-looking, so we've borrowed the best of the Lightning design system and used that to make sure that every font across the console, every icon, and every bit of styling looks consistent. Now, you might not know this, but in the previous iteration of the console, we had over 20 fonts styles, and we had multiple shades of gray in the console. Not 50, but quite a few. The other thing you might notice is that now there is a subtle gray background to the sidebar components, and this is really to draw the attention of the agent to the focused area or the case area or the record area where they're actually going to resolve the customer's issue. The component coloring is really to help drive that information hierarchy so that the user knows that the record or the feed is where they're going to spend most of their time. Additionally, we've made sure that all of the components in the console have a consistent look and feel. So you'll see they all start with the case title and an action to the right, and then the content following. And this is a pattern that we're going to repeat throughout. Now, in addition to all of this, we also focused on improving the branding capability in the console. So here are two other examples that I'm going to walk through. Here's a console. If you're familiar with the Salesforce Service Cloud colors, we have this rich plum color, and I've branded the console to reflect that. And here's another console. AgentX just happens to be the internal name of our team, the console team, and we've branded the console with the AgentX logo. But you might have noticed that we've also been able to brand the primary tab column here in all of these. So you can get that additional level of brandability, which wasn't available before. Previously, you could brand the header and the footer. Now you can brand this primary tab bar as well. And keep in mind that this branding is intelligent. So if you brand a dark color, the fonts and the icons automatically change to a light color so that your agent always has contrast. You can see here that against this darker purple background, the font coloring is white, whereas here against the lighter blue background, the font coloring is dark. Now, as I switch to the Agent Experience console, you might have noticed our new list view. And this is a very focused effort on our part to make sure that as users and agents were working through multiple items, they could actually use this space effectively. Previously, we actually showed the entire pin list in this space, and there was a lot of scrolling involved. But in this responsive view, based on the amount of real estate that an agent might have, they will see more or less information. Now, of course, agents have to go back and forth between this full width view and the list and the pin state as well. So to accommodate that, we actually have introduced a new keyboard shortcut, which is the Zoom keyboard shortcut. And in just a few keyboard clicks, you can go to that full screen view or zoom back out again so that you have that pin state. So as an agent, I can see not just the work items that I have coming up, but also very quickly switch to getting an overview in a much greater detail. You'll also see that some of the actions that were traditionally available in a full width pin list, in a full width list view, are now hidden behind hovers in a pin state. So the edit and delete icons are, of course, still available to you, but they're behind a hover. Also, we still have the ability to have mass actions in this state. And in an upcoming release, one of the things that we are very keen on making sure happens is that as you go over any of these items in a pin state, we present users with a hover so that any information that is not shown here or any columns that might not be shown in this pin state are available through that hover. Now, I walked you through some of the changes with the console, but I wanted to show you some of the exciting changes with the case feed as well. You can see here that I have a very busy case feed, and there's a lot that's happened on this case. But now I have the ability to very quickly filter down to any feed item types that I want. So I could have had a feed item type to say, show me all external customer-facing communication. In this example that I'm showing you here today, internal is a feed that I have made or configured that shows work item types and internal case comments. And you can see these are two separate item types, case feed item types, and I've filtered them into one label. Now, this wasn't available before, but you can quickly see how powerful this functionality can become, because an agent might be going through a large case feed, but can very quickly identify or narrow down those updates to the case being external updates or internal updates or just some particular work item type. But wait, there's more. You can see here also that we have lookup components, continuing, of course, from our previous releases, but there's a new type of lookup component available to you. In this particular case, I have Katie Miller as a contact, but if I didn't, I could very easily go ahead and associate a contact without even leaving the case screen. So with this very handy unlink option, you can see here I have disassociated Katie Miller from the case. If I go ahead and do this search, I can actually bring up Katie Miller's record and add it directly from within the case view without having to leave that context. Now, previously, you would actually have had to do that. Additionally, if Katie was not a contact that was in the system yet, I could have gone ahead and created a new contact record directly from within the case context. And keep in mind, folks, that this creation form is different from the update form that I showed you previously. What that means is that you can have a different layout for updating a contact or creating a contact. And just to reiterate that, you can see that once I associate Katie again and I inline edit, I only see fields that I need for that edit operation. But when creating a contact, I might have needed more fields. So lots of flexibility with the system. And also, remember that this is not just for contacts. These lookup components are available for any parent record associated with an object. So in our case, we're showing you a contact associated with a case, but this could very well be an asset or an account or any other custom object type. Finally, we have also addressed one nagging frustration for a few of our customers out there, and they have shared with us that they would have loved to see drag and drop from the files component. And I know previously we had given you the ability to drag and drop from the desktop directly into the email publisher, but we hadn't given you the ability to drag and drop from the files component into the publisher, and that's coming your way with Winter 16. And in addition to that, this files component is now no longer going to show you duplicate files names. So if you have a customer who has an image in their attachment, you will not see multiple copies of that attachment. You will see one copy. And the logic for this matching to make sure that we are always catching the signature is that the file name, the file size, and the file type need to be the same. So I hope you're excited about what's happening in Winter 16. And I'm going to cut back to slides now to do a quick summary of what came out in Winter 16, but also to speak a little bit about what's happening in Spring. So we walked through the redesigned console experience, as well as the enhanced branding capabilities. I'm hoping all of you are excited to try out the new look and feel of the console and share your feedback with us. In addition, we've enhanced the list view, providing a pinned or responsive experience, but also provided you a zoom keyboard shortcut, so you could very quickly go back to that full width view if you needed. In Spring, we're going to work on work-based pin lists, and I'm going to show you an example of this. I'm going to switch back to the demo in a bit and show you something our customers have been frustrated by. You can see here that this case pin list actually looks quite beautiful, but if I switch dashboards, I have to zoom in to effectively use this experience. Well, in Spring, we're going to give you the ability to choose how each one of these work items display. So you can say cases need to display with the pin list, but dashboards must always display full screen. So let's switch back to slides now and continue with the rest of the Spring roadmap. We're also going to introduce tab governors. We have a lot of customers who have agents that are opening multiple records in the console, and that's something certainly that we encourage, but we've received feedback from admins that they would like their agents to have work items maybe at 1 or 2 work items at one time. So we're going to give admins that ability to configure how many tabs can be opened. But also, we're going to give admins the ability to control how many tabs an agent is allowed to open at an upper limit, whether it be 20 tabs at the primary tab level or 30, and 10 or 15 tabs at the sub-tab level. So this power allows an admin to really configure how much work the agent can take on. We're also introducing a very exciting new functionality called templates. This was something that we spoke about at Dreamforce, and we got very positive feedback on it. Templates is your ability to set up Service Cloud features in a single click. Now, you might have looked at my demo and said, wow, that looks really interesting. I would love to experience that in my own sandbox. Well, that's exactly what templates is built for. You can use your own sandbox environment and deploy a template to get a console, like the console I showed. You might have a template to deploy Live Agent and Knowledge so that all of this is happening in your sandbox with your data, which gives you a really good way to evaluate whether this feature is the right one for you. And finally, we are also going to introduce the ability to have Lightning sidebar components in the console. Now, there's a lot of good stuff coming out from the Lightning experience, and we want to bring some of that richness to the console as well. On the case feed side, we walk through the new feed filters, and I would encourage all of you to definitely take advantage of this feature. We introduced the quick action lookup components where you can search and you can create records directly in line from the case experience, and also the ability to drag and drop file attachments into the email publisher. Now, what's coming up in Spring is a REST API for web to case, which will give you a lot more flexibility. And with macros, two key enhancements which are going to make macros really powerful beyond what they can do today significantly. First, macros are going to have the ability to fill in some of those quick action components that I just showed you. So you could quick create a contact if you, maybe not the whole contact, but you could certainly fill in certain fields if you already know the type of contact. You can also have merge fields for macros. Now, this has been a big ask because today macros could insert static text into an email, for example, but you might want to say, hi, dear customer, where you want the customer's name. And finally, there are going to be more enhancements to the case object in the Lightning experience. So Mike, I went through a lot, but there's a lot to go through. And with that, I will hand it back to you.
All right, thank you, Gautam. And I think you nailed it when you said you have shown a lot. And particularly, I think our customers who use the console are going to be very happy to hear what you have to say. But I mean, enough of me thinking about what our customers are thinking. Elna, what are they actually saying?
Well, some great questions out there, and I'm going to try to get to as many as I can. But first, let's start with a general one, just to set the stage. What is the key difference between Lightning Desktop, the Lightning experience, and the Lightning console?
Right, and that's a great question. The Lightning experience is a new look at the whole of Salesforce, particularly Salesforce Classic, or what was internally codenamed the Salesforce Aloha experience. And that covers a lot of the use cases that you might traditionally be used to in the standard Salesforce app. The console was really designed and built for high productivity use cases where customized workflows were needed or optimized workflows were needed. So the Lightning experience is really the new look of Salesforce in general. And the Salesforce console continues to serve those use cases which Salesforce Classic didn't address in detail. Now, keep in mind, though, that the future is going to provide a unified vision of all of Salesforce. So you will see more and more that a lot of the console capabilities are seamlessly migrated to the Lightning experience, and our customers get to enjoy the best of both worlds in one experience.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for that. So what is that keyboard shortcut for the zooming? Is there a specific key?
Oh, yes. It's Z. You can always change it.
Makes sense.
But keep in mind, you should definitely first select the pin list. You can zoom into different areas in the console. So if you switch back to the demo, you can see here I have the ability to zoom into the primary tab section as well. And that's been around for some time. But this ability to zoom is really for allowing users to focus on particular areas of the application. And we've received a lot of positive feedback on it. So to all customers out there, you might not use all of the keyboard shortcuts available in the console, but I would certainly encourage you to use the ones that make sense for your users.
And Chris, that was a question from Chris, and he's also asking, how do you decide which fields go into the sidebar?
Well, with the lookup components, you can either leverage the mini page layout, which was a capability that existed before. And with Winter 16, now that we've introduced the quick action lookup components, the one that I showed you just now, you can have a quick action that describes what that layout is. And you can control that just like you would a normal page layout. You know, there's a drag and drop editor, and you can drag and drop the fields that you need.
All right. Couple of quick questions about the quick contact creation. They're both related. One is from Andre and the other is from Jeremiah. Some folks have a history with the quick create in Classic where it kind of bypasses validation rules. So the question is, does this new quick create in the console respect validation rules? And also, can you change which fields are in that create new contact screen?
You can certainly customize that create contact screen to whatever it is that you need. And because this is using the quick action infrastructure, there is no way to move past that validation rule. You would have to create something custom if you want to keep that behavior.
I think they want to keep the behavior. That's the point, right?
Right.
They want it to respect validation rules. Yeah.
Yes, these quick action components would definitely respect the validation rules.
Perfect. Most admins want to make sure that happens.
And as Kendra was saying, this is really easy. If you're still on the demo, I'm just going to show you a quick example of just how easy it is. You can see when I switch to the setup section here, and I go to cases, and I go to actions. I have a couple of actions here, but let me show you this update status action. And I can go ahead and edit layout, and I can add whatever fields I want to this space. So it's drag and drop. There's no need for any coding required. And for any admin, definitely go to your sandboxes and try it out.
All right, Elna, thank you so much for that. I think that does about all the time we have for questions on this particular session. If we have extra time at the end, we will revisit for more questions because no question gets left behind. One reason that so many of our customers love the console is because it drives productivity. But that is not the only feature that we have to talk about that drives productivity. To shed some light on something else, we have Kendra.
Great, thanks. Great job, Gotham. Super exciting. So I'm going to start off by first just talking about some of the Winter 16 highlights, and then I'm actually going to show you many of these so you can get a feel for what this can actually do for your business. For Winter 16, there's a couple themes that we've been focused on, and these are investment themes for Live Agent in general. So, we have a history in Salesforce of trying to make anything and everything possible. We have an open architecture. We're very focused on enabling customization and developers, and that served us really well for our pedigree. Increasingly, though, what we're trying to do is make things more point and click, declarative, easy to set up. We want to give you out-of-the-box experiences that meet your requirements so that you don't need to go and do further customizations. And as the Live Agent product manager, I know many of you are very, very passionate about certain features that you need to effectively deliver chat. So we're also trying to address your point feature needs as well. And when I think about the features that we've done for Winter and where we're headed in the roadmap, all of those are themes. So the first one that I'm going to show is called sensitive data handling. And what this lets you do is protect sensitive information from being shared in chat messages. It's great for things like credit cards potentially to be shared, or even profanity. This has been a highly sought after feature. It was possible for you to do this through customization up until this point, but again, it's been so popularly requested that we wanted to give you a way to do this without having to actually code, customize, and involve your developers. So I think a lot of you are going to be really excited about that and everything it can do. We've also heard you loud and clear that for people who are managing chat operations, many of you are not administrators, right? I think we have a really rich administrative community, but if I'm a manager in a contact center and I'm taking chats, I don't necessarily have Salesforce admin access. That doesn't mean I don't need to necessarily change things on the setup side. So increasingly what we're going to do is make features for operational people, like managers, like supervisors, like team leads. We're going to make these features available so that you can permission access to them without giving the keys to the kingdom on the admin side. And the first example of where we've done this is so that your supervisors will be able to assign skills to your Live Agent chat users. But increasingly, we're going to be investing in this area so that we address your supervisors, your managers, and the unique responsibilities for their jobs. We have a number of other features where we've improved the out-of-the-box experience. We want you to be able to have a best-of-breed experience, not have to worry about customization, and really get up and running really quickly. And the chat window is an example of that. We've overhauled both the agent side and now the customer side in the last year. So I'm excited to show you those things. And actually, I think without further ado, what I will do now is switch into a demo, and we will get a look at some of these features live. So I am logged in to a couple different browsers here. The first you're seeing is I'm logged into a console, which Gautam just showed. This is actually the beautiful new pinned list view. And I'm logged in and I'm available for chat. Now you'll notice actually that I am logged in using the new omnichannel widget. So for your agents who are handling live agent chats, you have an option. They can use the omnichannel widget to make themselves available and to receive the chats, or they can use the existing live agent footer. It's up to you to decide which widget you'd like the agents to work with. So I'm logged in here as a chat agent, and I'm also logged into another application as a supervisor. To go ahead and get started, what I'm going to do now is initiate a chat request. So we have a fictitious company we use in the PM org. It's an outdoor adventure company. And in my scenario, I bought a tent from them. I love the tent, but unfortunately, it's gotten a tear in it. And I bought an extended warranty. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chat with this enterprise to see if they can help me with that. So I've initiated the chat request, and you can see now it's coming into my widget. I can see as an agent that there's an issue with the tent. I'm going to go ahead and accept the chat. And some of the first things I want to do are just point out the changes that we've made to the chat interface. So I'm going to let the agent know that I bought an extended warranty and you're getting a sneak preview of a new feature that I'm going to show in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and let the agent know that I need some assistance. You'll notice that the chat window, the color palette is more neutral, it's more modern. We have a new toolbar at the top of it with the save and the end options purposely separated so that a customer doesn't accidentally end a chat. You'll notice that the window is responsive, so as I resize it, the messages are automatically tailored to the room that we have in the window. And another change that we've done is we've moved to more of an iMessage type style. So what that means is as a customer, when I type messages, you'll notice that they're clubbed together underneath the same actor. So unless the actor changes, we won't change the label. Another small but subtle thing that I know many of you have asked for is on the customer chat window, we did not used to display the timestamps of the messages. So we've added that directly into the customer chat, and then these timestamps are also available for customers who save the transcript after the fact. So I'm going to continue with my scenario, and as a customer, I'm going to try to help this agent. I'm going to let them know that the order I placed was under my credit card number. Now, for those of you who are watching and who have operational responsibility, I'm doing something now that as a customer you would never want me to do. I'm writing my credit card number in plain text, and I am about to send it to an agent. I don't think any of us want that to happen. None of us want that to happen. So a way for you to now manage this is to take advantage of our sensitive data handling rules. What that means is you will be able to put rules in place for text that you want the system to monitor and detect for in the messages that are being exchanged. And if a rule is tripped, what'll happen is that the sensitive data will be automatically removed or removed and replaced. So let me go ahead and send this message. Now you'll see my credit card number, the pattern for the credit card number I entered when I sent the message, it was automatically replaced with some text that I configured. In this case, I let the customer know that we removed the credit card for their protection. But you can imagine there's lots of things you could do. Another example of this is, unfortunately, sometimes bad words are used. So I'm going to go ahead and you can envision other bad words that might potentially be exchanged. In this case, I have a rule set up for bad word. And when I send that bad word across, you'll notice that it's been replaced with asterisks. So with the sensitive data rules, you'll be able to implement regular expressions for the patterns that you're looking for in the text. You'll be able to decide where do you want to look for the text to be exchanged by the customers, by your agents, by your supervisors, any and all of them? And then ultimately, do you want to replace it with some other text? The key part here is the message, the text isn't exchanged and it isn't stored. So from a PCI and a PII perspective, this is really going to give you some great security. Now, I've let the agent know that I need help with this. And as an agent, you know, sometimes you might be new, or maybe you're getting a situation that you've never dealt with before. And as an agent, I need a way potentially to reach out and get assistance. And we've added a new capability straight from within the chat, where if I need help, live help from a supervisor, I can go ahead and raise a flag or raise my hand and let a supervisor know that I might need some assistance. So I'm going to let them know that I need help with a warranty return. You know, maybe I've never done this before. I just might need a little coaching. This is a perfect way for me to highlight in real time to a supervisor that I need them to pay attention and potentially whisper and monitor. Now what I've done is I've gone back over to the supervisor panel, and you'll see here that Agent Kendra has a flag illuminated next to the name. That indicates to the supervisor that there's a hand raised, there's a flag, there's something I need to potentially help with. And you can see that the message the agent typed is presented to me live here. So what I can do now as a supervisor is monitor the chat the way I would normally and whisper. Now in this case, I'm actually going to let the agent know that they can go ahead and conference me in. So conferencing is a feature that we released in our summer release, but I want to give you a live look at what this can do for you. So I'm going to say, go ahead and conference me in to the agent, and I'm going to make myself available so that that agent can get me. Back on the agent side, you'll notice that the whisper messages are coming in, so I know that a supervisor is talking to me, and in this case I can see that they want me to just let them join. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to send an invitation to Super Kendra, which is my alter ego, to see if she can possibly help in this situation. When I do that, I get the chat request. It also lets me know that it's a conference request. I can go ahead and accept this. And now as the supervisor, the agent and I are both participating live in the chat with the customer. Another thing that we've done, go ahead.
I noticed here that when the chat came up, you actually replicated the agent's workspace in the admin's console. That's pretty cool.
You know, I was going to segue to that, but I love that you pointed it out. Yeah, so what we do now is when agents are transferred a chat or when agents are conferenced in, they not only get the chat interaction, but they also get any of the records that were attached and associated. So if you remember, we created a contact, we created a case that was open in my workspace as the agent who initiated the conference request. And now as the supervisor, I can participate not just in the chat conversation, but I also have the full context for the issue that the customer is working with. Yeah, and that was highly requested. So thank you for pointing that out. So now, as a supervisor, I can obviously help resolve the issue. Now, the last thing I want to show is you'll notice here on the customer side that I'm getting a countdown. My window is flashing, letting me know I need to respond. What happens sometimes is that customers might not actually end the chat. And when that happens, it leaves agents forced to ask questions like, are you still there? Do you still need my help? If I don't hear from you after this amount of time, I'm going to end the chat. So what we've done is we've added a new capability to let you specify a timeout period. So if you don't receive a message from a customer within whatever period of time you specify, the chat will be timed out. And you also get to specify when the customer is going to be warned. So you'll notice that I hadn't responded because obviously I'd been talking. And in the background, I have a timer that's set to warn the customer in 15 seconds that they need to respond to my chat message. And then ultimately, when the timer starts, the customer is given an update with the message header. You also see that it's pulsating, it's flashing, and it's giving them a countdown, letting them know how much time they have to continue in the chat and keep it active. So ultimately what we're trying to do is make it simple for agents. You know, if the system can be smart enough to detect the customer might not be there, there's really no reason to have an agent asking. The system intelligence can handle that for them. So this is another feature that was highly requested and I think is actually going to save agent frustration and ultimately try to make chats more efficient. So those are the demos I wanted to show, and now what I'm going to do is switch back to the slides, and I'm going to talk a little bit about where we're headed in the future. So I mentioned at the beginning I'm the Live Agent product manager, but I'm also responsible for Omni. And we've had a large investment over the last year in bringing Omnichannel to market and also unifying that feature set with Live Agent. So I mentioned an agent can use the Live Agent footer, they can use the Omni footer. We've done a lot to make sure that those two product sets can function seamlessly. The next major area that we're evolving towards is unifying the routing between the two systems. Right now, Live Agent routing and Omnichannel routing is still separate and standalone, but we're going to bring those two worlds together. And what that's going to mean is that Live Agent is going to get the advantage of some capabilities that Omni already has, like the ability to prioritize and size chats. It's also going to open up the potential for us to significantly revamp even further the agent experience in the console. And it's going to be the foundation for our investment in Omni supervisors as well. So major investment theme, but a lot is going to be happening to bring those two worlds together.
And Kendra, in this future vision, you can route all work to a user in the console using Omni.
All work, that's right, that's right. And having a single routing engine is really going to let our customers have a simple, seamless way to manage all their work. And ultimately, you know, for the agents, it's going to be a really intuitive experience because from their perspective, they just need to receive the work, they need to be able to carry on. And of course, we also have some unbelievable data tracking that goes with it too.
Right, I know some sales customers were particularly interested on the Dreamforce timeframe as well, so very exciting.
Yep. And then so finally, some other things we're doing on the chat front. So we obviously let you embed chat into your websites, your web properties. You have the ability to embed chat into your mobile applications as well using our REST APIs. But again, back to that theme of making things easy for you and letting you get more out of the box, we are going to be adding Live Agent Web Chat to the Service SDK, which until this point has included SOS, and that'll get touched on potentially a little bit later. And we're also trying to fill in some major areas that you've been yelling for. So we know that you would like your agents to be able to share files with customers. That's coming, as well as we're going to try to make the transfer experience even better. And building on that sensitive data theme, we're going to be working with the platform team to enable support for the chat transcripts so that in the case information is ultimately exchanged and stored, you can at least have the data encrypted at rest. So a lot of good things coming.
A lot of good things. So first of all, it's great to see that Live Agent is getting a good amount of love in this release. I know it's going to make a lot of our customers happy, especially those who have multiple channels through which they try to service their customers. But speaking of our customers and their channels, Elna, what are we seeing out there in the social world?
I do have some questions for you, Kendra. Thank you. It was a great presentation. So regarding the sensitive information, that was really interesting. When somebody provides that information, and it's surprising how often people willingly do this, does it actually send over the information and then kind of mask it, or does it actually block it from being transmitted altogether?
Yeah, great question. So what we're doing is we're evaluating the message and the text in it so that it is not sent. So we want to make sure that we ensure that the data is not transmitted or stored. So for PCI and PII, that's going to give you a lot of security. And like I mentioned, on the encryption side, we will also be working towards encryption at rest using the platform feature that came out earlier this year.
Right. And a couple of quick questions from some Twitter members here. Reba is asking, will the supervisor panel alerts send an email alert notification to the supervisor if they are not logged into Salesforce?
Not right now, but we have a heavy investment area in supervisor functionality in general. So as part of our Omnichannel initiative, we're going to be bringing a new supervisor panel to market. You can kind of think of it like the chat supervisor functionality, but on steroids and covering more than just chat. So think about any work, all your agents who are using Omni, all the work that's waiting, all the work that needs to get pushed. We want to expose that to you in real time. And because we have all this real-time information, we'll let you not only see it, but we'll also let you define thresholds and proactive alerts so that if you're trending towards a problem, we can actually let you get ahead of that instead of actually having an emergency. So we have major plans for supervisors, and I know there's a lot of interest there. And for myself personally, I'm really excited for the new capabilities that we're going to be building.
Yeah, the ability to see, for the manager to see with the agency, that's huge. And Jennifer mentioned it as well. So Dale has a really quick question about when a customer is initiating a chat. Can they start typing their message before the agent accepts the chat? start preparing what they want to say?
So the chat has a couple different states to it. So you may have noticed it was brief, but when I initiated the chat request, the customer has a waiting screen, and that's what we present until an agent has connected. Once an agent has connected, then they can start sending messages. That's the standard experience. Now, if you took advantage of some of our customization capabilities, you could do additional things in the waiting screen as well. You could, for example, show them articles, offer them alternate means like sending a case instead of waiting for an agent over chat. So you certainly can do a lot more through customization, but through the standard window, we basically just let the customer know that they're waiting to reach an agent.
Perfect, thank you. How are we doing on time?
I think we're ready to move on to the next session. And again, as long as we have some time for questions at the end, we will have time to get to all of these. So, Kendra, thank you again so much for going through Live Agent. That is another fantastic tool that is going to just drive productivity for our end users. But to speak a little bit further than what our end users need, to talk about something that's underlying all of what the Service Cloud does, I'm going to pass things over to Deborah.
Thank you, Mike. Great job, Kendra. It was great to see all that functionality. So Knowledge, we have a really exciting release in winter 16. I am so happy to be able to share that Knowledge will be available in Salesforce 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been a long time coming. Thanks, guys. This was really popular at Dreamforce when we shared this, that you will be able to access Knowledge in both iOS and Android. Now, you may have seen you may already, in fact, be accessing it through Android. We did a little pre-release in 7.3 version of Android without the actual knowledge search capabilities. So you could still search and find articles through the Salesforce 1 global search, but that only returns 3 results. And that's a common pattern that global search has because it's searching across multiple objects. It has to really limit the amount of search results that come back. So with version 8 of both iOS and Android, we have a custom knowledge search. So when you view articles, you'll see a search, and I'll demo that later. Additionally, there is a new look to Knowledge that Gautam showed with the Lightning console sidebar, and that was to continue that consistency across the console.
Deborah's being a bit modest here because for the knowledge component in particular, it's more than just a new look. As you experience the new knowledge component, you will notice that it's loading much, much faster. It loads immediately as the primary tab or the sub-tab loads. I just wanted to make sure that...
Thank you. No, the team worked very hard on that, actually. Really wanted to deliver a much more responsive experience there. So thanks for mentioning that. The team did work very hard on that. Additional features, we have the ability when you're in the console and you're working on cases, we have all the publishers and the knowledge sidebar, and it's really important to make that experience of inserting an article into the publisher really smooth and seamless. And so now with Winter 16, you're able to insert your community URL into any of the publishers, the case publishers. So in email and community and social, you can actually pull the URL that would send the user to the appropriate community. So when they receive that and they click on the URL, it will take them directly to their community. You'll be demoing that later.
Yeah, I won't be demoing it today, but I think that's definitely been a feature that a lot of community moderators have been asking for. So this is really going to be, this is going to dramatically improve the productivity for agents actually moderating community.
Great. Yeah, we're working hard to try to look at all of the different ways that people leverage knowledge. Knowledge is accessible throughout, many different channels, and we're just extending the reach and the interaction and integration of knowledge throughout the Service Cloud. So. We're continuing down that path as we go forward. One additional feature which may seem small on the outside, but this has been widely requested. This is one of our top items that has been requested and has been on our backlog for many years, in fact, is that people wanted the ability to be able to go into the user, to view users and look and see who has the knowledge user license. So maybe you are at that point where you're reaching the threshold and you want to make sure that if somebody has left the company or they're in a new role, that they don't actually have that knowledge user license applied to them. So now you can go in and you can create a view, you can create a report, and easily see who has the knowledge user license applied. This is beneficial for managers because they can see who actually has edit capabilities, but also for administrators so that they can reallocate when a license is no longer being used by somebody. Additionally, we have thumbs up, thumbs down ratings are now showing in the vote reports. So this is a feature that we actually introduced previously to not only allow you to do star ratings, but you can switch to thumbs up, thumbs down, which has really become more popular these days. But previously, you weren't able to see the results in the vote stat report. So that is added in Winter 16 to round out that functionality. And additionally, we have two packages that I'll be talking about, Article Feedback Management and Article Quality Index, that I'll show you in the demo. So let's go to the demo. First, I'm going to start off on my phone, and that's because I want to show you the Salesforce One functionality for knowledge. So you can see here that we've come into the stage left of Salesforce One, and we now have articles available there. For anyone who actually is using the Android 7.3 pre-release version, you probably saw it as knowledge article versions. That was just one of those things that we chose to go ahead and do because it was pre-release, but now you'll see it now and going forward, you'll see it as articles in stage left. So once we go in, let's say I am continuing on into the outdoor adventure that Kendra started, and I want to know how to buy a snowboard. So I'm going to go ahead and do this search here. This is our knowledge search, and it brings you to this customized view to see the knowledge results. So you can see the title of it. You can also see the article number, the date of when it was last published, and some snippets. You can see that snowboard is highlighted because that's the word that I actually chose. If it was a synonym, you would also see the synonym highlighted as well. So I'm going to go in and say, okay, you know, I want to look at how to choose snowboards. So I'm going to click in on this article, and we can see that article in here. We can also go to the feed. If I had something here, I would be able to read it, or I could go ahead and put in a post, or I can go back to my article. So the great thing about having the feed details here is that you can mention other people, you can have some collaboration on that particular article right from your phone. So if you need to ask somebody a question about it, you want to mention somebody in your organization to point them to this particular article, or if you want to ask somebody to do something to update it, which I will show you later, then you have that feed accessible to you. Another way that you can access knowledge in your this is our iOS app, so you can go to your cases, and if you click into a case, you can go to your related section, and you'll see articles there now. And so you can go through and see any articles associated to a case and drill through and actually view that article right there in your phone. And this really makes a huge difference. You know, a lot of times previously we heard feedback from people that they didn't want to be tethered to their laptop. Of course, that desktop experience is very important, but you know, there are times when you have some critical situation that you're monitoring, or somebody needs to reach you and you're out, and you know, you need to be able to get to that important knowledge that you've been collecting in your knowledge repository. So now you have access to that anywhere that you are. So that is a great feature that we are really happy to demo and to show. I'll talk more about the future of where we're going with this next, but first I'd like to go to the desktop demo. Okay, so what I wanted to show here is two packages. These are AppExchange packages that are not quite out on AppExchange yet. They're done and ready. They're just finishing up security review. So they'll be out very soon. But the two packages, these are free packages. They'll be available under Salesforce Labs. And the first one is article feedback. I'll talk about that one first and do the next one second. So, you know, as I showed, you have feed access, article feed access available both in desktop and in Salesforce One apps. So if we, actually, I'm going to start back here. If we go into an article, let's say this article, let's say I looked in and I went, oh, this is the old image. I need to update that. That's not the right one. And I don't have, let's say I didn't have the ability to, or I'm on the phone with a customer, I can't do it at that moment. So I'm going to go into the feed, and I'm going to use a agreed upon hashtag of article feedback. And I'm going to say, please update the image. And I'm going to share that. Now that's great to have that on the article and to know that something needs to happen right there. And the way that we would tell people today to make sure that that gets addressed is that somebody in the organization, someone or multiple people, need to be following this particular hashtag, that topic. And so what you would do is you would go in and you would follow it first of all here, so you'd get notifications if something came in. But you have to come in and look to see, did somebody put feedback in? And then you'd have to go and put a comment in, assign it to somebody, and then make sure that in fact that person takes it and addresses it and handles it. And it's very easy for something like that to be missed. Let's say I'm the one monitoring it, I go on vacation or I'm busy with something else. It can take some time for me to come back and make sure that that gets assigned, or I may assign it to somebody and they're on vacation. I have to remember to keep coming back and checking that. So the package that we have takes that feedback and puts it into this object called article feedback. And so I can monitor in this view, I can look for new feedback that's come in, and you can see our how to choose climbing ropes item here. And when I drill in, it's created a record, and you can see the comment, please update the image. And you can track that it came in from an internal source. You can actually, if your feed is available through the community, you can tell your community about this particular hashtag if you want them to also be able to insert feedback here. And then it would say community and tell you the community name. But I can come in here and I can look at this. I can assign it. So let's say I'm going to assign it to somebody. I have all these KCS users in here, so I'm going to assign it to one of them. That's a methodology I'll talk about in a minute. And let's say then I can save that for them. They can come in and monitor what's been assigned to them, but I can as well. So maybe that KCS contributor isn't handling that quick enough. I can come in and take action. I can update the image. We do have the article information at the bottom. I'll show you that in a minute. But let's say I've gone ahead to the article and I've updated that image. So I can put in that the article, we have a few default actions that can be taken. You can either decide maybe this was a duplicate, you can archive it, you can update it, or you can decide that action really isn't needed. So in this case, we're going to say that the article has been updated. And I'm going to put an internal note to say, don't use that image again. Please remove from system. That's for us internally. That's for the team that's using this article feedback to really address maybe this is something that we need to take action on internally or something that we don't necessarily want to share out, but that's to keep comments internally. I can also put a comment here to say image updated, and you can see the details here that I was saying before if you wanted to get more information about the particular article. When I save this, and I can go back to that article, you can now see that there's an update. So the original comment that I had in was please update the image, and now you can see my comment of image updated. The other comment that I kept for internal doesn't show here, but this is a way to make sure that as the feedback is being addressed, that there is a closed loop. You can, somebody doesn't come in here 6 months later and go, I wonder if that ever got addressed, They actually have a way to come in and see, oh, okay, great, that was closed out. I don't have to worry about that anymore. So this feedback management package is also available. You can run reports on it. You can track what kind of feedback you have coming in. You could look at who handles the most feedback. You can look at, maybe you want to look at some trends around what are the actions that are taken. And it's just a good way for you to keep track of and monitor, make sure that the feedback that's coming in is being addressed and that you have metrics and trending on what's happening with it. So to go on to the next package, Article Quality Index, this is a package that is very closely aligned, and it's a tool for a methodology called Knowledge-Centered Support, or KCS. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over that. It's a very rich methodology. It's one that I have leveraged myself prior to my time here at Salesforce and when I was responsible for knowledge program and global support operations. I highly recommend understanding more about it. You can go to serviceinnovation.org and you can look at the KCS Practices Guide to know more about that methodology. But this is a tool that directly feeds success around that. And we've had a lot of our customers that are that use the KCS methodology in their organization ask us for more tools to support their KCS experiences. Salesforce Knowledge is a KCS verified product. We were actually the first KCS V5 verified product. But we want to continue to deliver more and more features that will help be even more successful with KCS. So this is a package that is going to help do that. So actually, before I go into the actual article quality index, I want to mention that there's this Create AQI tab. And the reason for that is that the search experience that you're going to need to be able to do an article quality review is very different than you would search for knowledge. So when you're searching for knowledge, for other use cases, you're looking to find articles that meet specific search criteria, like it's a specific topic or you're wanting to use it to answer a question. In this case, this is typically a manager or a coach, somebody that is looking at their team of people that are responsible for cultivating that knowledge and putting articles in to monitor and see how they're doing in their quality. And the purpose for having this practice or this technique in the KCS practices methodology is that you want to train people in your organization to be able to put knowledge in, to be able to create articles and publish them in a timely fashion, but you want to be able to regularly monitor the quality and ensure that that quality is sustained for long periods of time, that it's not just a focus when you're training somebody, but then maybe later the quality, trails off. So in this case, I'm going to do a search for one of my KCS. Or actually, I'm going to do a search because I want to bring that snowboard article up. So I think that one was done, I think that was created by Peter. Let's try that. And I think it was maybe last modified last month. But maybe you would do a range. Often when you are a coach or a manager coming in and doing an article quality review, you would look for either a specific person or people in your team, and you'd look over a period of time to see what they've created in that period of time. So in this case, it's a different one than I thought, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and look at this particular article, and we will create an AQI record for it. So one point I wanted to make here is that you can create an AQI record or an article quality review record for each version of an article. If this version already had one, this column here that says AQI, this checkbox would be checked. And in that case, when you went to create a new AQI, it would just take you to the existing one. But in this case, we don't have one, so we're going to create a new one. And we get a standard set of questions that are commonly used with organizations that are following this technique. You have the default user here, Peter White, had created this article. But let's say we're using a workflow where Peter is actually a coach to somebody and somebody else did the work around the article, but he actually published it for them because they're not authorized to publish just yet. He has to do a review. So you do have the ability to change this for review purposes because you really want it to point to the person who actually updated the content. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and just keep it as it is. And the questions here are asking whether or not you want to check the box if the answer is yes. So article unique, let's say yes it is. Title's accurate, sure. Content complete, yes it is. Content understandable, it was great. Article meets the content standard. The content standard is something that you will see more of in the KCS Practices Guide. Properties were set appropriately, but there was a broken link in this particular article. So I'm going to leave that one there, and I'm going to say coaching is needed, and I'm going to save this particular record. So what that does is now you can see that there is an AQI score that came in. That is calculated based on these questions and the weights that are set for them. You do have the capability to change the weights. Maybe for you, having a unique article is more important than anything else, and you want to increase the weight on that, you can do that. And so that the score calculates based on the weight and the answers of the questions. And so then you can go to your article quality index, you can look at a view for coaching needed, And here you can see which articles are actually needing some coaching. So then I, as a manager or coach, can go and sit down with the people that I coach. And I could sit down with Peter and use this as, not for punitive reasons. We don't recommend using this in any way for performance reviews or that. It tends to demotivate people when this is used in that capacity, and it encourages them to game. But really what this is better used for is an opportunity to provide coaching and to give some guidance on how quality can improve over time. So we could go in and sit down together, look at this, find out, I can explain that the link was broken or something else that I found. And occasionally we might have a good dialogue. Maybe there was a good reason why that happened. So we don't want to just assume that, the way that we've evaluated it, that there wasn't a good reason for doing it. But it creates a lot of great opportunity for dialogue. One more point about Article Quality Index is just that you also have some reports. So when you install this package, you have AQI reports that will show. And there are 3 reports. AQI Team Summary can be used to look across your team. So I'm going to actually collapse the details in this one. And you can look across your team and see what their score is. And I would recommend checking how many records were actually in the review. You can also change the period of time that you are looking at this for. When you have 1 record, that's kind of heavily skewing it. But when you have more than that, maybe you've done 5 reviews in a month, that's a more accurate picture of whether or not that person, what their quality level is. And again, I wouldn't use that for punitive reasons necessarily. I think it's better to use that for opportunities for coaching and helping them to improve over time. Additionally, there are other reports. You can go to your individual totals. So this is typically used by one person to themselves if they want to see what has been, what are the reviews for the cases that are mine or the articles that are mine. So you can come in here and look at which articles were reviewed, and I can see what my scores were, and hey, this one has a 0, or this one had a lot of zeros. What's going on with that one? So I myself can go in and drill in and check it out and see what happened. Maybe there's some comments or notes in there. And then finally, there is a report for individual totals by month. And this is a good way to show trending over a period of time. So is it getting better over time, or is it not? So that's how I would tend to use this report. It started out in May at 43%, but it's mostly been increasing and heading towards that 86%. And so the trend is generally going in the right direction here.
Great.
So let's go back to the slides. There we go. All right, so I just wanted to share what's coming up in spring 16. We actually have a lot of work a lot of really great features that are coming in spring and beyond. But in spring, we have started an effort that will continue on. You'll see this as a theme going for multiple releases, which is that we are really looking to better align with platform features. When the Knowledge product was first created, there was a lot of real, unique richness that was built into the product to give it the kind of power that our customers wanted out of the Knowledge product. But we're looking to now use that power, but also align with the platform itself in ways that are more standard when it's possible to. So we don't want to take away from the richness and power of the product, but there are ways that have become available for us to better align with the platform and deliver features that customers are used to throughout the rest of the Salesforce suite of products. And that has been widely requested of us. In spring 16, we will be delivering page layouts and validation rules. Both of those have been widely requested, and we have heard a lot of great feedback in Dreamforce and other other venues for getting those features available to you. We're also increasing our knowledge reach in terms of its visibility. So Chatter Plus and Force.com licenses will now have read access to knowledge articles, which means that the work that you're doing, that your organizations are doing to harness and leverage that collective wisdom across your organization can be shared with more people more easily. And finally, we have a feature for simplified setup. Today, when you go to set up knowledge, you actually have to create a default you have to create a first article type before you can actually enable knowledge. And this sometimes trips people up when they're first starting to enable knowledge in their organization. And so now you'll be able to just enable knowledge, and the default article type will be created for you. So it simplifies the setup process and addresses an issue that has been confusing for people in the past. So, and this is our spring release. We have a number of great things coming up beyond spring, including we're simplifying around our data model. We are looking again to increase our platform alignment, and we're going to be delivering our Lightning experience in the future. So I don't have an exact timeline for that, but the work is actually getting started. We're starting our designs. So I'll really look forward to coming back and being able to share what we have in a future Release Readiness Live.
All right, thank you so much, Deborah, for keeping our customers up to date on everything that is centered around our knowledge. Elna, we are getting tight on time, so if we have just the top 1 or 2 questions for Deborah, I'd love to hear them.
I've got the top 1 or 2 all queued up for you.
Great.
This is a really super quick one from CRISPR, who says, yay for reporting on knowledge users.
Great.
But is it available through the API as well as the web UI?
That's a good question. I think yes, but I can't answer that for sure, so I'll have to come back and answer that I'll have to take that one as a follow-up.
Perfect. No question left behind.
Yes.
So you can count on an answer there. And a couple of questions about the flexibility about article feedback. One from Susie, can it be initiated in other ways outside of Chatter? Is there another mechanism for providing feedback? And Jellomania wants to know if you can enable it for community users without giving them access to the feed.
Okay, let's see. So the first question, no, we are not at this time going to insert records there without using the feed. I think they both were asking kind of about using it without the feed. For now, no. Both of these are going to be managed packages at this point in time. They're new packages, and I've had a lot of conversation with people about, how they plan to use them. I want to be able to push out those features and enhancements as I get them, and if we did an unmanaged package at this point, then you would have to reinstall it every time we deliver a new package, which, at first I wanted to really make sure that we're hearing the feedback that we get and try to build it in and deliver a better package. It's possible that at some point in the future we may do an unmanaged version of it, but for now, we're going to keep it managed, and it's going to be tied to the feed. But if you have feedback on that, I suggest putting it on Idea Exchange for Knowledge. I would love to hear that, and I would definitely, consider other ways that we might get records in there. But really, the feed is our main source at the moment.
All right, great. Thank you, Elna, for the questions, and thank you, Deborah, for your knowledge on the knowledge. Now, to bring things home in our final minutes, I'm going to pass things directly to Michael Chow so we can talk about Service Cloud for Communities.
Great. Thank you, Mike. So Winter 16 actually has turned out to be a pretty substantial release for us in terms of Chatter questions and also the community templates. So I wanted to first go through some slides and actually summarize what's brand new in Winter 16. So the first one is that Chatter questions now has type ahead deflection. So this was a functionality that we've wanted to enable just so that we can actually formally GA Chatter questions. And I'm going to show you a demo of this, and this is available not only in the community templates in the Pili, but also in the Salesforce Classic interface. Now, I know a lot of you might be moving Lightning, but a lot of you might still be using Salesforce Classic, and we wanted to make sure that you had type ahead deflection for your users when they were trying to ask a question within Chatter. The next feature that we're releasing is that the community templates have been out for a couple releases. So here what I'm showing you is the Cohen and the Pili templates. Now those templates, we have moved them to a next generation technology. They're all built in Lightning now. And what this allows you to do is actually really modify the page. You can actually drag and drop components onto the page. You can actually use Lightning components throughout the page. And I'm going to show you a demo of that, but I think what this allows you to do is really extend and modify those pages so that you can get exactly how you want it to look. We've heard numerous feedback in the past that the pages were just too rigid, and this is really a huge step forward for the community templates. And I think Michael Metcalf in the community section covered some of these, so I'll be talking about some of the things that are very much more specific towards service. The article voting capability, so allowing your customers to actually vote a give a thumbs up or a thumbs down on a knowledge article within the community templates. That's brand new capability that it's coming out in winter 16. And lastly, we've actually created a new component, a Lightning component that allows users to pick the language that they would like to see the page in. Right? So the default language in the page will actually be whatever the browser set to. They can actually change it to another language, and that would actually be saved via cookies or subsequent visits. So what I want to do right now is I want to go ahead and hop into the demo. So what you see here on my laptop is the Salesforce Classic interface. Okay, so here's the chatter feed. Now, instead of doing a normal post, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to ask a question within chatter. So we've brought questions into chatter. This was done several releases ago. And as a user is typing, what you're going to see is you're actually going to see a collection of previous questions, also knowledge-based articles, that actually might answer their question even before they actually finish posting the question, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click on one of these questions, and a modal pops up, and you'll see a previous question that might answer the question, so they don't actually have to repost. This is deflection, and this works for both knowledge articles and also previous questions. So this is a really huge step forward in terms of a lot of our customers that want to use chatter questions. You can imagine, especially important in the external community, but also in the internal community. If you have a chatter group that's focused on HR, for example, tons of questions around how do I increase the contributions to my 401k. This will actually, a lot of redundant questions that you can cut down using this capability. The next thing I wanted to show you was the community builder. So this is based on, what this is using is you're using a community template to really stand up a community for your users, whether they're internal or external, to come and ask questions and interact with other users. Now, what we've enabled in this release is, as I mentioned, this is a next generation template built on top of Lightning. So what this allows you to do is you can actually drag and drop these Lightning components around and really customize the look and feel of this page, right? So not only can you really move these components around, what you can also do is you can actually, these are some custom components I have on the left side that were built using Lightning. I can go ahead and take one of these components here. I'm going to put it right here up top. So for example, this is a custom object within Salesforce for a user's recent gear. So here the user will see the objects here. And say, for example, you wanted to put in an enrollment button for classes. So I'm going to go ahead and put an enrollment button here. So these are all custom Lightning components, and our customers can now really build their own components and really customize these templates to be exactly what they want it to be. Now, lastly, what I wanted to show here with this is that we've actually created this language picker, as I mentioned. So this selector allows, you can drag it anywhere you want on a page, but this allows an end user, what they can do is they can then select which language they want to see this page in. So really requested feature from our customers. Now, the last thing I want to show here is that this is a template that's really focused towards knowledge base. So it doesn't have the chatter feed in it, but what it has is it allows you to put up a knowledge base and allows end users to create cases. It's completely responsive design, so it has a different look. One second, that's refreshing a little bit. Has a different look on tablets and desktop and the phone. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click into one of these pages right here. And this is a knowledge-based article. And you'll see that, actually, let me hop into another one real quick. I'm going to choose this knowledge article here. And the end user can come to the very bottom of the article. And from here, it asks the user, did you find this article helpful or not? And from here, a user can actually click yes or no. And this will actually feed back into the article feedback that Deborah mentioned a little bit earlier. So this is a brand new capability with these community templates. So lots of exciting things for both the community templates and also the chatter questions. I'm especially excited to see this because being the first product manager for community templates, they've come a long ways in the last 2 years. So that's very exciting to see. So just to finish this up, I want to switch back to slides to talk about what's coming as a roadmap. So I think Michael Metcalf in the Communities Cloud section already talked about communities and what's coming in terms of moderation, in terms of engagement. What I wanted to put a plug in for is a lot of our teams right now are actually working on the Service for Apps product. And this is a Service Cloud SDK that will allow you guys to bring Service Cloud functionality into native mobile applications. So that the first one was SOS. You've probably seen our SOS SDK. We've demoed it last release Readiness Live.
That's awesome.
But we've actually brought in other things like knowledge, and we're going to have chat and cases. So really bringing the whole Service Cloud functionality into mobile applications. This is going to be a lightweight SDK that you can build inside your native apps on iOS first and then Android. But it's going to be smart, it's going to be in context help, and it's going to be simple for you to customize, configure, just to make sure it looks like the rest of your application. So with that, a lot of exciting things coming. Mike, I'm going to hand it back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Michael. Elna, we are just about at time for our viewers at home, but I want to make sure we are servicing the social crowd. What is the one biggest question that we are seeing from Michael coming out of the social sphere?
So the one biggest question is, what if you want just a public knowledge website and you don't necessarily need a community? Can you use these templates?
That's a great question. So the second template that I showed you that was just very knowledge focused, that template does not require a user to authenticate to actually view that page. So if you just want a public knowledge base that anybody can see just by going to a URL, and it doesn't require users to log in, that template is for you. And I think that there's kind of a misconception that while they're called community templates, you don't necessarily need to have users log in using a community license to view it. Communities for us, a lot of times, is really a mechanism for us to help you build public-facing pages or even internally-facing pages. So I think that that's something that you want to watch out, especially if you want to create a public knowledge base page.
All right, great. Thanks a lot to Elna, thanks a lot to Michael. And that's about all we had today for not only just the Service Cloud. Folks, that's all we had for the Winter 16 release. Thank you everyone for joining us live for these broadcasts. And as a final reminder, you can catch recordings of all of our sessions at www.salesforce.com/release readiness. So again, thanks to our product management team. Thanks to Salesforce Studios for hosting us so well over these past 2 days. But thank you most of all to the viewers at home. If you have any suggestions for how we can improve our experiences for you, please fill out the short survey you'll find under the screen right now. For 25 people who do that successfully, you will be entered into a drawing to win one of our great Salesforce hoodies. So again, thank you. And until spring 16, this has been Mike Torres from Salesforce wishing you the best in success.